record the screen is all it's recording, and it's recording the screen now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, so let's say I'm doing a research paper on climate change. I guess I would start on Google. Just look up some climate change facts. So I guess for a research paper, a good place to start would be some government websites. And I guess, hold on, let's go back a little bit. I would open up some tabs. You know, start looking through that. So yeah, I would open up a handful of tabs to look through. These all look like reliable sources, I guess. So we've got a couple government websites, and then Scientific American, which I know is a pretty reputable science journal. So okay, so if I was just trying to come up with maybe a more specific topic within the larger climate change, I just start trying to gather some information on that. So yeah, I just keep going through this page of information, just clicking on anything that's interesting. You know, I'd like find some interesting topics that come up, like maybe how human activities are affecting climate change. And like graphs are usually helpful because they're pretty visual. And this one's pretty clear. It shows that climate change has been changing really fast recently. You know, this page has some interesting topics that could be interesting to look up. Like glacial retreats, extreme events, stuff like that. And something that I do often is use Wikipedia, not necessarily for like accurate information, but Wikipedia pages usually have like a pretty broad description of topics. So climate change. And I really like the table of contents on Wikipedia pages like this. So they break it down pretty well, like terminology, causes, and stuff like that. And I think a topic that might be interesting for a possible project would be maybe human influences or something like that. So let's see. Yeah, so if I was doing research on using a Wikipedia page, I'd like to know the definition, which is usually here. And then just to make sure it's somewhat accurate, I like to know that there's a citation here, which there is. And yeah, seems to be coming from a credible source, so that's good enough for me for now. Causes internal force. Yeah, so let's say I'm just already starting to narrow down the human influences. I look closer at that, and already I can see that there's a good number of citations. Yeah, and they're coming from, looks like some science journals. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a couple science journals, so that looks good. Let's just see what they say about human influences, context of climate change. Is that climate changing? Changes, let's say, okay, so it's saying that a large part of climate change is due to human activities. It's largely irreversible. Okay, so let's say that I'd use these Google searches to narrow down a more specific research topic. Then, since I'm doing a research paper, I know that my professor would be interested in me getting some actual scholarly sources, which are more credible. So then I, go to my school's library. And this is just something that I've been taught by teachers and professors to do for research papers, is to, as well as using government sites and stuff and .org sites, which are generally pretty reliable, I should also, let's see, look for research papers to support the research paper I'm doing, I guess. So when I'm doing this, I want full text just so I can get full amount of information, and then I want peer reviewed because that means it's been reviewed by a lot of people who are experts in the field, so they know a lot more about the topic than me. So let's say that I want to do research on climate change and humans, kind of their influence, I guess. So I'd search for that. So yeah, I'd see a lot of those. Some articles incorporating. So yeah, maybe I'd see some articles that I like. I'd read the abstract just to see if it's anything interesting. Yeah, so this might be a good source. So if I was using it, I'd just look at the abstract, see if it's something I'd be interested in. Since it's something I'd be interested in, maybe I'd copy the link into a Word document and hold on to it. Continue to look for more online sources, and then since I'd be doing a research paper, I know a lot of professors like textbooks, so maybe I'd also go look for one or two of those to possibly use. Sure. And this search engine is just going to let me look for textbooks across several universities. So let's say climate change in humans. Oh gosh, okay, here we go. Sure, this looks like a good book, maybe. Yeah, so let's see the description. So I'd usually want a description before I put on hold, but if I found it interesting, sure, I'd put the book on hold. But for most of my research, I'd really like to use internet sources, and then, so maybe I'd try some different keywords to use that are kind of similar to my topic, like, hold on, let me narrow down my search. Full text and scholarly. So maybe since I'm doing climate change, I'd also want to look into something like global warming. And then I'd use maybe like one of these sites had a lot of different topics. So I'm going into climate change, I might go into some of these more specific topics, like warming oceans, you know, global temperature rise, sea level, something like that. Maybe I'd try human causes just to get it closer to what my research topic is. Yeah, and just as further down the line, I usually look for information that's supporting what my ideas are, but I also try to find opposing stuff just to make sure I'm like thinking on the right track. And I think finding opposing information is good because I think you can use it to strengthen your arguments, because I think showing where the thought process of wrong information is incorrect is a powerful tool. Let's see, like an economy.
Hi, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll stop the recording.
Okay.
Perfect.